Here is something most people never stop to consider about being really intelligent. Most people assume it makes life easier, and in some ways it does. But here is the part nobody talks about. For a lot of highly intelligent people, the very thing that gives them an edge in thinking also creates a unique kind of quiet suffering that most people never understand. Today we're going to explore the hidden psychological struggles that come specifically with high intelligence. Not as a complaint, and not as a badge of honor, just as a genuine, honest look at what it actually feels like to have a mind that works differently. Struggle 1. The curse of overthinking. Here's something interesting. The same neural pathways that allow a person to analyze a complex problem deeply are the exact same pathways that keep them up at 2 a.m., replaying a conversation from 3 days ago. Research suggests that people with higher intellectual capacity tend to have more active default mode networks in the part of the brain responsible for self-reflection. In simple terms, their brains don't switch off easily. What looks like overthinking from the outside is actually a mind that is constantly running simulations, questioning assumptions, and searching for patterns, even when there's nothing to solve. Struggle 2. Difficulty finding people who truly get them. This one is subtle, but it runs deep. Highly intelligent individuals often find social connection genuinely difficult, not because they lack empathy or social skills, but because meaningful conversation is rare. When your mind naturally operates at a level where you're curious about consciousness or systemic patterns, small talk can feel almost painful. Psychologist Letta Hollingworth noted that profoundly intelligent individuals often struggle with what she called the problem of communication. The gap between what they think and what most conversations allow them to explore. The result? A subtle but persistent loneliness. Even in a room full of people. Struggle 3. The paradox of high expectations and self-doubt. Consider this for a moment.
Nhiều người có chỉ số IQ cao, đồng thời vừa là người chỉ trích khắt khe nhất, vừa là nguồn áp lực lớn nhất của chính họ.
Psychologists call this imposter syndrome. But for intelligent people, it often runs deeper because they can see every flaw in their own thinking. They sometimes doubt themselves more than people with less self-awareness do. Intelligence, paradoxically, can make you more aware of what you don't know. And that awareness, while intellectually honest, can quietly erode confidence. Struggle 4. Boredom. But not ordinary boredom. Here's where it gets psychologically interesting. Research shows that highly intelligent people require significantly more cognitive stimulation to feel engaged. When that stimulation isn't there, they don't just feel bored, they feel almost restless at a neurological level. Studies on dopamine sensitivity suggest that intelligent individuals may have reward systems that respond less to routine stimulation, meaning ordinary tasks, repetitive environments, or unchallenging work can feel genuinely draining rather than just dull. This is why many brilliant people struggle in conventional systems, school, corporate jobs, rigid routines. Not because they're lazy, but because their brains are literally seeking a level of engagement that those environments don't provide. And here's something worth pausing on for a moment. Does any of this sound familiar to you? Because the patterns we're describing aren't just abstract concepts. They show up quietly in everyday life. In the way someone avoids certain conversations, or feels oddly disconnected even among friends, or lies awake at night. Struggle 5. Perfectionism that feels impossible to escape. For themselves that are genuinely unrealistic.
Và khi thực tại không tránh khỏi không đạt được tầm nhìn đó,
meets high self-efficacy.
Limitation and imperfection. Đấu tranh thứ 6. Nhạy cảm với sự bất công và không nhất quán.
Logical inconsistencies and social injustices.
even exhausting.
To perceived unfairness precisely because they understand its implications more deeply.
Difficulty making decisions.
This might be the most surprising one because you'd assume that being smart makes decision-making easier, but intelligence often does the opposite.
It multiplies the variables. A highly intelligent person can see too many outcomes, too many consequences, too many ways a decision could go wrong. Behavioral economists have a term for this: analysis paralysis. The more clearly you can think through a problem, the more options your brain generates. And the harder it becomes to simply choose one path and commit. Struggle 8. The Search for Meaning, Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, wrote that the primary human motivation is not pleasure or power, it's meaning. And for highly intelligent people, this search tends to be especially intense. Routine life, surface-level success, or conventional definitions of happiness often feel hollow. Intelligent individuals tend to ask why at a level that most social frameworks don't easily answer. This can lead to genuine existential restlessness, a feeling that something important is always just slightly out of reach. Struggle 9. The loneliness of being misunderstood. Not dramatic loneliness, quiet loneliness. The kind where you're perfectly capable of functioning socially, holding conversations, even making people laugh, but you privately carry thoughts and questions that rarely leave your head. Psychologists studying intellectual giftedness consistently find that this inner isolation is one of the most commonly reported experiences among highly intelligent adults. It's not about superiority. It's simply about the reality that, when your mind works differently, finding genuine understanding from others takes real effort. Here's the psychological takeaway from all of this. Intelligence is not a simple advantage. It is a particular way of experiencing the world, one that comes with genuine gifts. And genuine costs, the same mind that can solve complex problems, is also the mind that can't stop analyzing, can't easily settle, and can't always find the conversation it's looking for. Understanding this doesn't make the struggles disappear, but it does something quietly powerful. It turns confusion into clarity. And for a mind that is always searching for patterns, sometimes the most meaningful pattern to find is the one that finally explains your own experience. And maybe that's enough to finally see yourself clearly. Not as too much, not as too little, but as exactly the kind of mind this world has always needed.